What's going on, everyone? So, the Lakers have the 17th pick in the draft, and I do believe that they probably look to trade it. There's a lot of reports that the Lakers are kind of exploring trading the 17th pick. I don't think that they're just going to trade it just for the sake of trading it, but I could see them potentially, if they find the right piece, whether it's a rotation guy that kind of helps more now, or if it's, to go get a package for like a Trey or, a DeJounte or whomever, I could see them unloading the pick. But I kind of hope, right? Again, it depends. But I kind of hope, and I think that there's a real argument for the Lakers to keep the 17th pick. Now, I know a lot of people's like immediate thought is like, well, this draft is considered so weak. One, like the pick wouldn't have value compared to other drafts. And two, you should probably trade the pick because you're not going to get this big impact guy. Now, I do agree to an extent that a first round pick in a weak draft is not as good as like a first round pick in a deep draft. However, 17th pick, like if they had I think the 12th pick or like the 11th pick or even the 7 through 10 isn't as value as it would be in a better draft, right? But the 17th pick, at that point, you're kind of taking a gamble regardless. You're hoping to find a diamond in the rough regardless, right? So I don't think it's like that significant. I don't think it's like that much of a deal. And there are some guys that could potentially fall at 17 that could be like an impact guy, right? Zach Edey, for example. But to me, it's like the idea of taking that pick and turning it into a player, I'm all for. But if you can kind of work out deals but keep and maintain the 17th pick, because the Lakers would still, let's say they keep the 17th pick. They still have two firsts. They still have 2029, 2031. Then they'd have two pick swaps. So you basically have four first, two pick swaps and two first round picks. Plus you have like 5 seconds that you can trade, right? So you do have still assets to go and make that move. But the Lakers also need to get younger, add some depth, right? If they do go make that trade for a Trae Young, or, let's say best case scenario, they do get like a Donovan Mitchell or something, you need as much cheap quality talent as possible. I also think it depends on who's available and what you draft, right? So I personally like the idea of Ware. Right, I made a whole video kind of breaking down the pros and cons of Ware versus Edey. I think Ware is just better for the modern NBA and kind of you look at what Derek Lively was able to do because of his ability to run the floor as well as just be in various actions where Edey's a little more limited in the certain things you can do. Obviously, he's a better overall scorer, but I think Ware, again, his abilities and his ability to stretch the floor. Now, Zach Edey showed in the combine that he can stretch the floor. But there's a big difference between being in an open gym, getting set shots, knocking down three ball, and actually doing it in real live game actions, where we've seen Ware in college shoot, I think it was 40% or 39% from three, although it was 30 attempts or 35 attempts. But you saw him be able to shoot three ball. To me, if it's something where you can pull off a deal. Let's say you're going to go get Trae, right? And let's say the market is thin and it's limited. And you're able to kind of work that out and keep the 17th. I would, if you can keep the 17th pick, I think you do it. If it's one of those things where it's the only way to really upgrade is to trade that 17th pick, then fine. Just using Trae as an example. I know a lot of people don't like Trae. Just using him as an example because I do think he's very likely. But he'd also take most of our stuff, right? But to me, it's if the market is thin for him, can you kind of convince hey, and can he kind of use this weak draft to your advantage, right? Yeah, we can give you the 17th pick, but it's not a deep, heavy draft, right? So we'll give you 2 future seconds, right? And then if you can get a Zach Edey, which again, depending on how the roster shapes up, I do think that there is more value in Edey. I think if you're looking for right now and the next 2, maybe 3 years, I think you go with Edey. If you're looking for somebody that can help you now, but has the bigger upside and is more kind of could potentially be one of our cornerstones, then I think you go with a guy like Ware, right? But to me, if the Lakers are really going to kind of push for now, I think if you could land a Zach Edey, right? Like, okay, let's remove Trey from the conversation because I think like DeJounte Murray would be cheaper. If in the offseason you could basically go and draft Zach Edey, trade for DeJounte Murray, and I don't know, maybe can you get like a DeAndre Hunter on top of it? Just to like get another piece, right? If you told me they got, Hunter, Murray, and drafted Zach Edey, and then they still have their taxpayer mid-level, they still have, free agent signings that they could do, that's a really good start in my opinion. Really good start, right? Because now you got but also what it would do is now you don't need to go get a center, right? Because if you draft Zach Edey, right? If you draft Ware, I would still I think Ware can have a real impact, but I would like to go get that Valanciunas just to kind of be safe. But if you get a guy like Zach Edey, he's just so big and massive, and you're probably playing him 15 to 20 minutes anyway, and I do think that he can make impact now. I think Zach Edey is the best now impact type guy. So to me, I think the Lakers could use the 17th pick as a way to get something that would allow them to not have to go get that in free agency, right? Like, if you could get an Edey, then I think, okay, good. Now you don't have to focus on that. Now you can go get, Kevin Porter Jr., take a flyer on maybe Alonzo Ball, right? Like, you can go get these other, Chris Paul or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, we don't, now let's focus on just building out the best bench and versatile bench that we can have, right? Because we have our star, we have DeJounte Murray, Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis as a starting five. Let's go take a flyer on Alonzo, Kevin Porter Jr. Now you got, Maxwell Lewis, Christian Wood, and Zach Edey. Boom. I think you're good. I think you're in good shape. So I do think that there is a valid and reasonable argument to be made to keep the 17th pick if you can, and if you can get the right piece. Right? So if Zach Edey's off the board and if Ware's there, I would still like the Lakers. Because again, I like Ware for now and the long term more. I just think the upside and potential is higher. But I do think, okay, we need to are we going all in now, or are we kind of trying to find this balance? Because it sounds like the Lakers are looking for a bit of a balance. Right? We kind of want to go all in, but we also want to maintain youth and, kind of round out pieces for the future. Have a nice establishment, build a system and all that stuff, which is great. And I'm fine with that, right? If that's what you want to do, then let's draft a Ware and build and start positioning ourselves for the future. But if it's hey, let's go now, let's get this win, now let's try to win a championship in the next year or two, then to me, I think you do everything you can to keep the 17th pick. I think if Edey's available, you grab Edey, and then you try to pull off a trade elsewhere. You try to go get, DeJounte Murray, or, fingers crossed you go get Donovan Mitchell. But again, if it's something where okay, we can realistically land Donovan Mitchell. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. Just an example. But let's say Donovan Mitchell is available. He's kind of pushing his way to the Lakers. And it's okay, well, we could get Donovan Mitchell, but we have to give up the 17th pick. At that point, I just think, no, give up the pick. If the 17th pick is the thing that's keeping you from getting Donovan Mitchell, you get it. Right? But if it's a DeJounte Murray situation, I don't think you'd necessarily have to give up the 17th pick. Right? And I think you can kind of use this weak draft to your advantage and go, who are you going to get? Right? Do you really want Zach Edey? Right? You drafted, Clegan or Sarr or whoever, right? You already got that. You really want Edey? Again, it kind of depends on the situation and what the plan is. But I do like the idea of hey, let's just keep the 17th pick. I think there's an argument there. I do think, again, ultimately the Lakers will trade the pick if push comes to shove. And I think if they can find a right deal, they'll do it. Like if they can land, again, a Dorian Finney-Smith for the 17th pick. Obviously, they'd have to throw salary and other stuff. But I'm saying, like, let's say they can flip 17th pick into an asset that's more ready for now. I think that they will do it. But if there's not really anything that's like blow away, like, oh man, like this is the guy, then I think you just kind of keep it and just kind of let the chips fall where they may, and kind of try to round out the rest of the roster and potentially get a piece that you don't need to go get. Because if you go get Zach Edey, I don't think you need an Andre Drummond. I don't think you need a Valanciunas. I'd like a veteran guy, if I'm being honest, but unless you're going to actually move AD to the 4, which I don't think is going to happen, if I'm being honest. I still think LeBron is probably going to play the 4, and then AD is going to be their starting 5. But if, let's say, JJ is able to convince LeBron to do something else, then fine, let's do that. Let's go that approach. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think that, like, yeah, keep the 17th pick? Do you think, no, trade the 17th pick? Do you think, like, it doesn't matter what we think, the Lakers are going to trade it regardless? Do you think it just depends on who's available and who's there, right? Like, if it's Zach Edey, do you think you keep the pick? Do you think if it's, like, anybody else, you trade the pick? Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.